it's kind of always hard to in giving talks. Always also hard to say goodbye to everybody. Come together like this and everybody's going. That's the kind of life that I think me and my son have been living a long time. In many places for the last 8 years is one Sundance after another, one ceremony, one burial, one marriage, name-giving ceremonies all over the world. Saying goodbye and then coming back maybe 1-2 years later. So what we do is we look forward to the next one. We don't look at this today and we say, I'll see you again. We try not to look at this. And we look forward to see each other again in the near future. Most of you have known, we set up an organization over here. It's the sister to the one we have in California. It's called Lame Deer Society. It has 2 goals in life, 2 goals that we want to do. To make it easier for the medicine men to travel and give talks, and to make sure that we bring the right medicine men, people who are recognized in the tribe, to bring those people. That is the first goal. The second goal is an orphanage for children. An orphanage so we can set it up so we can make it easier for the children to stop being adopted out from Indian people all over America. And when these Indian children, they grow up, they leave that family. They leave with a chip on their shoulder. And too many years that has happened, so we want to set up our own orphanage. In South Dakota, we don't even have an orphanage. It's in the middle of Indian country, and we don't even have an orphanage. And our children go out to all points of the world. They even come to Belgium. And they come over there and they wind up in the middle of everybody. They don't know who they are. Some of them they don't even know they're Indians until they're 60, 70 years old. And they find out they're Indian. So we're trying to stop it by setting up an orphanage is one of the second goals that we have for Lame Deer Society. And this decision was decided many years ago by my father, so it was not my decision. And my father used his house for like an orphanage and a foster home. And my father raised 65 children on his own without the help of the U.S. government or finances from anybody. He raised all those children. And we are sort of committed to do that same thing. And we have the endorsement of the tribe and also endorsement of my reservation, what we are doing. We have the endorsement of many of the AIM leaders to set up this organization so we can make it easier for them. Not the AIM leaders, but the old people, so they can come over here. This is the main goal in life we have. in setting this up. Next month, during the month of May, we have this very first one that is taking place to have medicine people come over. All the details, you can get them from Tobias. He's been helping quite a bit in setting up the European Lame Deer Society. So those are the goals that we have to set these up. And I really felt very sad in southern France when the medicine people could not come. And they were all set up to come. They were all sitting at the airport. And there was no finances, there was no plane tickets. And I caught the problems there. About the same medicine, and they got very angry at me because there was no airplane tickets to bring them. Things like this hurt, so that way we have to stay in close communication. And we have to put it in the only language that you understand, that's black and white, on paper. I hate doing things that way, but that's what you believe in. We're going to have to go about it your way. You put it on black and white. So you can understand it and make sure that it does happen. As a non-profit organization, we have to do it there in this way anyway. We also want to get out of the world of politics. So this Lame Deer Society has nothing to do with politics. No politics at all. If you got politics, take them to your chancellor or whoever you deal with. Don't bring them to us. Even Indian problems. If you got an Indian problem, Indian political problem, take it to Russell Means. He's running for President of the United States. He might help. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want to hear nothing to do with politics. The closest to the politics we have is Leonard Caltier. And the only reason why we have that is because on the spiritual grounds. We're on the spiritual, we have over 60 bishops, spiritual leaders of the world supporting Leonard Caltier. And the Lame Deer Society decided to also. And within 2 months, we should have the first paper, magazine out, called In the Spirit of Crazy Horse. It's a magazine. It's a beautiful magazine. It's already published this week. It's coming out in Kansas City. So we have to have it translated and then have to send it out. Therefore, we have to translate it in only 2 languages, French and German. And I know for a fact everybody can read it then in Europe. I used to think that you have to put it in Dutch and German and French and Italian and Spanish. And that's the way I used to think. And I realized that all you need to do is put it in 2 languages and everybody can read it. Even on the other side of the East Bloc countries. It's easier. So I wanted to bring that message to you in that way. Most of you that have been participating in the Sweat Lodge and many of you who have been for the first time been in the healing Sweat Lodge, or been in the Sweat Lodge for the first time. And if you notice that we started out very mild in every Sweat Lodge, in every door. It didn't get too hot. We're coming in at 4 rocks at a time, so it gets hotter and hotter as it goes along. But the men ran out of rocks at the end. There was no rocks for the last 3 doors. So they was using little pebbles because all of them broke up. So that just tells me one thing. Next time, put 84 rocks in if you're going to use 64. Because you're going to lose 15 to 20 rocks. Especially this kind of rocks you have around here. They disintegrate. But don't do that at the place in Montpellier because those are lava rocks. They don't disintegrate. Put 64, it's 64, that's it. They don't disintegrate, they're lava rocks. Solid. So if you put 84 in, you got to use them whether you want to or not. We've talked about coming back in October for the Congress. They're sitting down there doing all of it. But we talked about it in October, and then we have I believe a 4-day seminar and a 3-day
séminaire.
Yes, 4-day and a 2-day seminar. 4-day seminar and a 2-day seminar, and piggybacks, just back to back, right after the Congress. Which is easier for me because it's all in one place. And that's a very nice area, a nice place. So if you have any friends that are interested in it in October, it's a good time. But I'm sorry to say at that time of the month I have to travel alone because my children have to be in school during September, October, November, December. And after January they can travel. So it's always 4 months they have to go to school in California. Whether we want it or not, we have to. You have to at least have 4 months of school every year. So, which is a lot better than all of the world, I think. You can have children just think when you was young, if you only went to school 4 months out of the year. The rest is you're on your own. It'd be beautiful. 8 months on your own. No school. It'd be a beautiful feeling. If your parents could have thought of it, they probably could have did it. But that's why you're so educated, I guess. It has its complications in many ways. But I've learned a lot at this sweat lodge, with the healing sweat lodge. I've learned that we got long ways to go. Because it wasn't hot at all, the women or the men. Yes, we all sweat, but it wasn't hot. But the meditation concept was there because you're all used to meditating. And by this I mean when the pipe comes around, you don't pray for a half hour. You hold your prayers as short as possible. As short as possible. You don't pray for 15 minutes normally. Everybody knows you're praying. You hold it short. This is something in Indian that we have. We don't believe in praying for 2 hours. Or even meditating for 2 hours. Because when you do this, you forget everything while you're there. And the only thing that hurts is your rear end, and your knees, and your legs, if you're not used to those positions. And we try in the sweat lodge to make the prayers as short as possible because it gets hotter and hotter in there. Now if you can think about those of you that didn't participate in a regular sweat lodge, you're going to meditate, and you want to meditate inside. The first door comes 16 rocks. And there's not just 4 at a time like we've been doing. and all the water is used on it. It gets very hot in a very short time. Therefore, you can't stop and pray a long time because your friend beside you will hit you with an elbow. Hey, pass your prayers on. Go to the next man. And you sit there, you want to pray. There's a hill up there. Go sit up there and pray for 3 hours if you want to do that. It's good that you do. But don't do it in the sweat lodge because there are other people, consideration for others. For some people, they cannot take the heat. They can be in there for many years and they still can't take the heat. Sometimes their skin is very sensitive and they can't take it. So they come out of there very quickly. They forget how to pray. There are many things, it's do's and don'ts in sweat lodge. It's a ceremony, it's a spiritual ceremony. If you have sacred things that you must bring to the sweat lodge, ask. It never hurts to ask. I don't allow it. And none of my people allow it. So it is always good. It's like this, if you come to the land where I live, I don't want you to come to the top of the mountain and start praying. You come and ask. Because you don't know what the place you're praying, you don't know what it's like. You don't know who's there. You don't know who's buried there. You don't know what kind of ceremonies are being held there. Courtesy gives you, go ask, can we do this? Sure. Everything's okay. And do it slow. These are some things you always have to remember. You come to the reservation and you come down to Crow Dog's place and you run in the sweat lodge and you just jump right in there. You ask it. Ask. Ask one of the people that, hey, can I go in? Sure, come on in. They will readily accept you. That's the way our people are. They accept you in all the ceremonies. Excluding the Sundance because we haven't gotten that far yet. We just opened up the Sundances last year on an international level at Big Mountain. We allowed all the non-Indians to come. I opened the doors. So everybody came. That was beautiful Sundance. So it's just that way. It's an invitation for the Sundance. These ceremonies. You got a sacred stone, the sacred object that you want to use at the ceremony, or you want to go in the sweat lodge with it, or sacred eagle feathers, ask. It always is. It's good that you ask so we can respect it. But if you come in, I don't know what you have. You might have a buzzard feather, or you might have a chicken feather, for all I know. All I know is you got a feather in your hand you came on by. I don't take a close look at these feathers. I don't know what you have. There's great differences in these. Or you might have some prayer feathers from the Native American church. It's good. You ask, we allow that. But you have to ask. Courtesy. Don't jump in there without asking. Because it makes the people think. All the people inside. We have to think about courtesy for others. Think first. If you can't think first, then you always wind up in the middle of something that you really don't understand. If you did that on my reservation at Crow Dog Sundance, the way my cousin is, he'll run you clear out of the camp. He'll tell you to get your clothes on and get down the road. And he'll have security escort you clear off the reservation. And I have a cousin that thinks that way, you know. I don't know why he thinks that way, but he's that way. It's not a fault, it's just a courtesy. I guess we have to learn a little bit courtesy. The sweat lodge, we have, like I say, I've learned a lot of things. I learned about people. And being here at this Lama Center, it makes me feel good because these people are oppressed in their own country too. In many ways, they're almost like us. They say the opposite, we're almost like them. So it works both ways. You know, say, you're almost like us. Yes, you are like us. You know, like this, you know. It works this way. You know, it's, your land is connected to their land. You know, ours is separate, not apart. But that respect is there. That understanding is there. And the old man here welcomed us here anytime we want to do these ceremonies. Accepting the sweat lodge to be there, we accepted that. So, as far as he's concerned, that's a good feeling to have. In case later months or years we have something like this planned again, we know what to do, and we know how to do it. And the time of the year and all this. I believe that everything, and I want to thank the women who are carrying the rocks to the sweat lodge. Many people have never seen a fire ring. That's because you haven't been around. You haven't been around, that's why. You're in for a lot of shock and disappointment the longer you stick around with me. Because of women that do different ceremonies. A lot of respect. And you learn how to respect those sisters. Many men, they have no respect because they always think that the woman should be oppressed. And it's not that way. In the sweat lodge ceremonies, other ceremonies. So in the days to come, we hope that maybe we'll see some of you in Germany when these other medicine men come. Or if I don't see you then, I'll see you in October. I don't know who they have planned over there. I think the lady who's coordinating it knows who's coming over there, who will be there to give talks. I'm going to stop long enough to see if there's any questions. Yes?
I wanted to ask, how many orphans are there on the reservation?
On the average?
Yeah.
I'll give you the average. In South Dakota, on 9 reservations, there's about 130.
How is it that so many children, there's small children?
Yes.
How is it that so many small children are orphans?
Most of them because their husbands, the fathers are in prisons, and the mothers have gone off in a different direction.
They're not because of the parents are dead. They're children that either are abandoned.
Abandoned. And children, like you take for instance an Indian woman. If she goes out with a non-Indian man and she has a child, she'll leave it at the hospital. And there are a lot of abandoned children on that.
I'm just asking this because I'm interested particularly in adoptions. In your concept of forming an orphanage, in that concept, is to have these children adopted by Indian families?
If they wish to, yes. And if they don't, if they go to non-Indian families, we have to keep very close check. in case the children are pushed out, because I found children in Santa Barbara walking the street. A little boy that I found who's 14 years old, who's in South Dakota now, he was walking in Santa Barbara for 3 years on the streets and no one even knew about it. And we found him, we took him back to South Dakota.
After the meeting, Archie, I'd like to give you the address of an adoption agency that handles all kinds of interracial and problem things like that. It's very, very serious in the United States where I adopted my daughter. It's worthwhile.
Any questions?
Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Je traduis peut-être avant. They ask me for translating first.
Okay.
C'est toujours dur de terminer d'enseigner et de dire au revoir aux gens. Dans beaucoup d'endroits de par le monde, lors des 8 dernières années, j'ai pratiqué donc tout autour du monde des cérémonies diverses, des mariages, des enterrements, des sweat lodges, des cérémonies de guérison, des sentences, etc. Et puis, une fois qu'on a fait la cérémonie, on s'en va de l'endroit où on était, et puis bon, il se trouve que souvent on revient au même endroit 1 ou 2 ans après. De ce fait, il est tout à fait possible que nous, on se revoie dans le, et lui, on se revoit dans le futur. Il me semble qu'il a remercié les gens qui ont fait l'organisation en disant que ça a été très bien organisé, je crois. Hein. Alors après, il a parlé en disant qu'ils ont une société en Californie qui s'appelle la Lame Deer Society. Et cette société existe pour faciliter, c'est un genre d'œuvre, hein, pour faciliter les voyages et les enseignements des medicine men qui diffusent donc les enseignements autour du monde. Alors il y a 2 buts principaux à cette Lame Deer Society. D'une part, ce premier but, hein, c'est-à-dire de faciliter les voyages et les enseignements des medicine men dans le monde. La deuxième chose, ça vise les orphelinats. Parce que bon, il y a beaucoup d'enfants qui sont dans les orphelinats et ils voudraient que ça cesse et que les enfants soient élevés dans des familles afin que les enfants grandissent dans des bonnes conditions. C'est pas ça. Bon, alors vas-y, traduis.
Je vais essayer.
Ouais,
l'idée est que beaucoup des enfants étaient adoptés des orphelins à travers les années. La plupart des enfants indiennes étaient adoptés par les familles non indiennes et élevés avec aucun sens du fait qu'ils étaient indiens. Oui. Et certains même en arrivant à 7 ou 8 ans ont découvert qu'ils étaient indiens. Oui. Donc, leur idée est que ces enfants soient adoptés, s'ils peuvent être adoptés avec un certain contrôle de partie de l'orphelinat, qui sont au courant de leurs origines et de leurs racines.
Oui. Cette décision de fonder la Lame Deer Society a été prise par mon père il y a de nombreuses années déjà. Ce n'était pas mon idée, c'était l'idée de mon père. Alors mon père a élevé, en plus des siens propres, j'ai plus le chiffre, un nombre d'enfants, 59, 65 enfants, plus donc des siens. Il dit que pour fonder cette Lame Deer Society, il y a l'accord et de la tribu et de la réserve, et aussi ceux des leaders de l'AIM, c'est ce que j'ai compris. Oui, personne ne proteste. L'AIM, American Indian Movement. Le mois prochain, nous aurons pour la première fois en Europe une rencontre avec plusieurs medicine men qui viendront. C'est Tobias qui détient les renseignements pour cela. Et il est très triste parce que lorsque le projet a été fait, ce même projet pour le sud de la France, les medicine men, il n'a pas été possible qu'ils viennent comme c'était prévu. En fait, ils attendaient à l'aéroport que l'on envoie les tickets d'avion. Les tickets ne sont pas arrivés. Et ça a créé beaucoup de problèmes et certains des medicine men, du reste, ont été fâchés avec lui. La Lame Deer Society est une société à but absolument non lucratif. Elle n'a absolument rien à voir avec la politique, même pas avec les problèmes politiques spécifiques aux Indiens. La seule manière, si j'ai bien compris, par laquelle ils se battent politiquement, c'est pour la terre sacrée ou les lieux sacrés, c'est ça ? Dans 2 mois sortira le premier magazine spécifiquement indien, ça s'appelle In the Spirit of Crazy Horse. Ça sort donc sous très peu de temps à Kansas City. Si tout va bien, les traductions parviendront en Europe, dans les différentes langues européennes. Donc il voulait apporter ici un message. Après il a dit, beaucoup d'entre vous ont participé à la Sweat Lodge et pour la toute première fois. La chaleur a été très douce, dit-il. Ce ne fut pas trop chaud au début des cérémonies. Les hommes, par ailleurs, ont été avares en pierre. Ça n'a pas suffi. Les 3 dernières portes, on n'a pas pu apporter de pierre parce qu'elles étaient toutes désintégrées, cassées en petites miettes. La prochaine fois, il mettra 84 pierres. 84 pierres. Comme ça, il est sûr d'avoir le compte complet. Il est question, donc, il y a un projet de revenir pour lui en octobre au congrès. Jacqueline pourra vous en parler. Et ce congrès, dans le sud de la France, sera suivi de 2 séminaires, un de 4 jours et un de 2 jours, au même endroit, ce qui est pratique pour lui. Et puis en plus, c'est un endroit magnifique. Il dit, si vous avez des amis, parlez-leur-en éventuellement. Octobre, en tout cas, est une bonne époque. Une bonne époque pour lui de toute façon, puisqu'à ce moment-là, il peut voyager, ses enfants étant à l'école pendant ce mois-là. Et ses enfants sont à l'école, en fait, 4 mois par an. Le reste du temps, ils vivent comme ils veulent. Et il dit, c'est très chouette, si les parents pouvaient en faire autant, ils le feraient sans aucun doute. Il a appris beaucoup de choses avec les healing ceremonies. Il l'a redit, ce ne fut pas très chaud, ni pour les hommes, ni pour les femmes. Il dit ça n'a pas été très chaud, bien sûr on a transpiré, mais ça n'a pas été très chaud. Il dit lorsque la pipe entre, vous ne priez pas une demi-heure. Il faut faire des prières le plus court possible, pas 15 minutes, une demi-heure. En fait, tout le monde sait que vous priez, vous n'avez pas besoin d'en rajouter, de prier des heures. Il dit si vous priez, si vous méditez pendant 2 heures, en fait vous oubliez pourquoi vous êtes là. Vous n'arrivez plus à vous concentrer sur l'objet de ce que vous faites. Et il dit, nous essayons de faire la prière le plus court possible, car dans la Sweat Lodge, ça devient de plus en plus chaud. Ceux d'entre vous qui ont participé à une Sweat Lodge normale, il y a 16 pierres qui rentrent à chaque porte, c'est-à-dire que la chaleur grimpe très vite, beaucoup plus vite que dans les Healing Sweat Lodge que vous avez faites. Et à partir de là, il est clair qu'il ne faut pas faire de prière trop longue parce que le copain qui est à côté de vous peut vous dire arrête, ça suffit, moi je crève de chaleur, alors si tu veux me sortir, continue à prier. Vont prier très longuement, vous pouvez faire ça dehors, c'est bien, faites-le à l'air libre, mais ne le faites pas quand ça peut être ennuyeux pour quelqu'un à l'intérieur d'une Sweat Lodge. Il faut donc penser aux autres qui ne supportent pas la chaleur et qui en oublieront eux comment prier pendant que toi t'abuses. C'est une cérémonie spirituelle. Si vous avez des choses à amener à la Sweat Lodge, il faut demander la permission. Il est bon de demander la permission, car si vous venez pour prier, chez lui par exemple, dans un endroit qui vous est inconnu, vous ne pouvez pas savoir où sont les lieux, où sont les cimetières, les endroits où on peut prier, les endroits où on ne peut pas prier. Donc il faut toujours demander la permission pour ce que vous envisagez de faire dans une cérémonie ou en participant à une cérémonie. Si vous demandez, on vous dira oui. Si vous arrivez dans le pays de mon cousin Crodog, et sous prétexte qu'il y a une Sweat Lodge qui commence à ce moment-là, vous n'avez pas à vous foutre à poil et à sauter dans la Sweat Lodge en vitesse. C'est moi qui dis ça comme ça. Demandez la permission et on vous acceptera dans la cérémonie. Sauf pour la Sundance, que nous n'avons ouvert que l'an dernier à tout le monde. Donc, de toute façon, aujourd'hui, demandez invitation, demandez à être invité, aussi bien pour la Sundance que pour n'importe quelle cérémonie. Et demandez la permission pour poser vos affaires, si vous avez des plumes d'aigle, si vous avez des objets qui sont sacrés ou importants ou symboliques, etc. Ne les collez pas comme ça parce que vous pensez qu'on peut les coller. Demandez la permission, c'est une affaire de courtoisie, à la limite tout à fait élémentaire. Et si vous ne le faites pas, les gens penseront, les gens qui sont à l'intérieur de la Sweat Lodge penseront que vous n'avez en fait aucune courtoisie pour les autres. Si vous faites une chose pareille chez mon cousin Prodog, il vous giclera du camp et vous fera même escorter pour que vous sortiez le plus vite possible de la réserve. J'ai appris beaucoup de choses dans ces Sweat Lodges ici et je me suis sentie bien dans ce centre, car ici, il y a des gens, ce centre correspond à des gens qui eux aussi ont été opprimés dans leur pays. À cause de ça aussi, ils ont respect et compréhension. Et ça lui a donné un très bon sentiment, le fait qu'il y ait ici un vieil homme qui a accepté qu'en cet endroit-là soit mis une Sweat Lodge. Il voudrait remercier les femmes les Fire Women, qui ont donc amené les pierres à l'intérieur de la Sweat Lodge. Il dit beaucoup de gens n'ont jamais vu ou imaginé que ça pouvait exister des Fire Women. Une femme peut faire des cérémonies en fait, et on doit apprendre à respecter nos sœurs. Les hommes doivent apprendre à respecter leurs sœurs. Contrairement à ce que font beaucoup d'hommes ici. Dans les jours à venir, j'espère que j'aurai l'opportunité de revoir certains d'entre vous en Allemagne prochainement ou en octobre éventuellement. Jacqueline pourra préciser qui d'autre prendra la parole lors de ce congrès d'octobre. Et ensuite, il a demandé qu'on pose des questions, et une question a été posée au sujet des enfants abandonnés. Et je suggère à Roberta de donner la réponse qu'elle a eue parce que je ne l'ai pas notée.
Il a dit qu'il y a autour d'une centaine des enfants qui sont des orphelins, mais dans le sens où souvent les pères sont partis et les mères les ont abandonnés. Parfois parce que la mère se marie avec une non-indienne et donc laisse les enfants derrière. Et ça c'est le sens de la réponse, parce que comme c'était un sujet qui m'intéresse personnellement, j'ai voulu savoir si leur espoir était de placer les enfants, et il a dit oui, dans le sens que si les enfants soient placés dans les familles non indiennes, ils sont suivis aussi. Parce qu'il a trouvé un enfant de 14 ans à Sainte-Barbara dans la rue qui était de nouveau abandonné par la famille qui l'avait adopté.
Voilà, vous avez des questions?
Oui, je voudrais savoir de quelle façon peut-on aider l'association Lame Deer.
Bon, tu traduis parce que moi l'anglais ça va pas dans ce sens-là.
I would like to know in what way can the people present help the association?
I think Tobias can talk more about that than I can. I think it's, I don't know how they...
Okay.
Tobias répondra mieux que lui-même.
The way Lame Deer society in Europe is set up, or maybe I would like to first tell a little bit the story about it. Lame Deer and his wife and we thought about a long time how we can better coordinate the work of Lame Deer and the medicine people over in Europe. And not also that, how is it possible for the European people to have an institution to turn to about native people who are coming over here and presenting themselves as medicine people, and there aren't. So we came up with the idea of actually just having a representative office of Lame Deer Society from America. So that was the start, and that was actually the start idea. But as soon as Lame Deer and I chose the people who should run this place, we found out that this is not going to work that easy as we thought. So we had to find the best form and vehicle to found Lame Deer Society, not as a foundation, but as a association. The idea is to get as many members into this Lame Deer society, to have the funds through the membership, to one thing, to publish this magazine, what Lame Deer talked about, which is a great wish of all the people who are right now working full-time in Lame Deer society, to see this really happen. And so the other thing is that after Lame Deer had to experience this frustration of having to see this whole thing collapsing last spring in southern France, I promised him and I said, look, maybe they didn't have enough time, but let's see, we should actually be able to make this happen next year in Europe, because we both and a lot of other people and friends from Lame Deer want to see this happen. And Lame Deer Society, that's actually the opening event of Lame Deer Society for Europe, to have 5 to 6 medicine people coming in one place, where the people who come have the opportunity to live for 1 week with these people and experience very intense the teachings and the religion and the way of life of these people, how to treat and how to live in balance with what we call creation. And the response we had is tremendous. I would like to share this with you. One guy who's working in Lame Deer Society, he comes out of the high professional management. And he sits almost every day now in his chair and he looks at the mail. We're getting, I think, every day between 35 to 45 letters and at least close to 100 phone calls. And we only placed 4 ads in a paper. The response of Lame Deer Society being a non-political, totally non-political organization is so tremendous that right now 2 to 3 people working full-time 8 hours a day in Lame Deer Society office to work all these things through and to really establish it. Come back to the point, what was asked, how is it the best way to help? At this time, there are 2 ways. One way is to attend in the seminar in May, because the money what is left over from that seminar is supposed to go directly to Rosebud with Lame Deer together to get in clear negotiations about the land buying contract for Lame Deer Society and for the community set up, about the orphanage. And we hope that it's possible to generate the total amount this year for Lame Deer Society to get really started over there in the way Lame Deer and Sandy, his wife, and his whole family was praying for a long time. That we generate the rest of the funds to really set it up so Lame Deer and his family, and hopefully myself, can move to South Dakota. The other thing is to help, is to come to be a member with a average member fee. But here I have to say there will be a range for students and non-employed people until people that are making a lot of money. So the range goes from 60 to 160 marks a year of membership. And those funds will help to generate more money and more funds to keep the place going and to get it to the point where the self-efficiency of Lame Deer society will come. Because Lame Deer's dream and vision is not to be dependent on any government funds. Because he told me, he said once to me, I will never forget that, and it really keeps me going. He said to me once, Tobias, you know, all those government-supported projects, all where the money from the government was in, are being screwed up, and somehow they're failed, and never really anything helped my people. Because we were talking about it, and I said, why don't we try to get government funds? And he said, no, it won't work, because we will be, you know, again in the plier of the government, and I don't want that. Now I can see it, and I feel good about it. So this year, the program of Lame Deer Society will be to establish a strong membership here in Europe. Another thing is that a group of artists, of painters will travel in fall. And there will be also a concert tour coming in summer with 3 very well-known Indian musicians to travel in Europe. Huh?
Which musicians?
It's Buddy Redbow and his band, Paul Cypress and Butch Mudbone. Butch Mudbone, who just traveled to Europe just a few months ago. And the thing, what I see is important, that for Lame Deer Society in Europe is throughout the membership and the help of the people here to establish groups who will be strong and will live from what they're learned, and to create communities where people come together and live and learn from the earth. And the Lame Deer Society shall be just in Europe for the Europeans to turn to and ask if there is possible that the medicine man come and teach, or that they can call and say, listen, there's this man traveling here and he calls himself a medicine man, and he claims to be a Lakota, or he claims to be this and he claims to be that. If Lame Deer is in America, it just takes me one phone call, and I probably will, in a time of 8 hours, know if this man is what he claims or he isn't. And I think this is important, because from this 2 years travel with Lame Deer, I have met so many people who've been hurt. And I always see how sad Lame Deer is if he sees that his own people are coming and doing something like that. So actually, trying to put a stop on that, he's trying to help his own people, not to abuse what's left here. So I heard from this good friend there that he translated our brochure in France, and with the fact that he has your addresses, he will send you the brochures about the May event, which I can really be proud of that, because it's the first time something like that in Europe happened. And at this time I want to give great thanks to Lame Deer, because without him this thing would probably never happen. Thank you, man.
If it don't work, we send Tobias to East Germany.
But the two other guys too.
But the reason, what he said was, one thing that we check on the Native American Rights Fund, an Indian lawyer group in Boulder, Colorado, and one in Washington, D.C., we have the confidential list of every medicine man in Canada, North America, and South and Central America. We have their telephone and addresses at this time. So when we find out about somebody, we just pick up the telephone and call to that place, to those medicine people. This is how we keep our... Just let you know how we keep check and balance.
Okay, Archie, I just want to say, insofar as Central and South America, I would be rather doubtful that they could possibly have a complete address of people in those areas. I know medicine men that have no address.
I
There's
know
no
that
way that you
there's
could
some in
possibly...
South Dakota also.
Yeah, they don't have any
But we
address.
know who to call to find out who is and isn't. So it's easier to do it that way. We can't, it's impossible to have the medicine man's address. That's possible. But there's a lot of phones, they can't even afford a phone. But you do know of people that we have the confidential list. And we cannot give the list out who that person is, and he has a telephone, and he has connections to the medicine people. And in that way, they're not part of the FUNAI or BIA or anything like that, or the Parliament in Canada. I'm talking about people that deal with medicine people all the time. But we have to do it that way, and these names and addresses were picked up by the Indian lawyers. And they gave them to me in confidence, so this is what we have to, what we work on all the time.
Bon, Tobias répondra mieux à la question de savoir qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour la Lame Deer Society. Et Tobias a parlé à ce moment-là. Lame Deer, sa femme Sandy et lui-même, Tobias, ont réfléchi comment on peut le mieux coordonner en Europe la venue des médecines man, etc. Et ils sont arrivés à la conclusion qu'il était bon de faire, j'ai traduit agence, je ne sais pas si c'est le bon terme, donc une filiale ou une agence en Europe de la Lame Deer Society. Alors ils ont choisi des gens pour essayer de mettre ça en route et ils se sont rendus compte que ça n'allait pas du tout. Et que le mieux c'était finalement pas de faire un truc genre fondation, mais un truc plutôt associatif avec des membres. Et c'est donc ils ont arrivé à la conclusion que c'est grâce donc à une association avec des membres qu'ils pourraient donc faire ce qu'ils projetaient de faire, publier le magazine, faire venir des gens, etc. Bon, par ailleurs, après l'échec de la venue des médecines man l'année dernière, il y a 2 ans en mai, il était tout de même important de faire venir différents médecines man, car en fait beaucoup de gens en Europe souhaitaient cela. Et il a semblé important que 5 ou 6 médecines man viennent au même endroit, en même temps, pour une semaine pendant laquelle pourrait être donc vécue une intense expérience à la fois de la religion, du mode de vie et du vécu donc de ces médecines man. Alors qu'est-ce que ça veut dire tremendous?
Énorme.
Énorme, bon. Eh ben alors, je ne sais pas ce qu'il a dit là. Hein.
Il y a un succès énorme.
Ah bon, d'accord.
Ils reçoivent 100 coups de téléphone par jour.
Ah oui, c'est ça, d'accord.
25 lettres ou
35 lettres et plus de 100 coups de
s'inscrivent.
téléphone par jour, et c'est ce que j'ai noté, d'accord. Et ils ont donc pris un mec qui sera un super manager aussi pour essayer de coordonner cela de manière à éviter les conneries. Hein. Alors il a réinsisté en disant que c'était surtout pas une chose politique. Le truc en Europe donc emploie 2 personnes à plein temps en ce moment. Et il en est donc venu à d'abord il avait donc fait une part historique, ce dont je viens de causer, et ensuite il en est venu à répondre à la question. Alors il y a 2 possibilités de donner un coup de main à la Lame Deer Society. D'une part venir en mai bien sûr, car le fric qui restera une fois que les frais seront payés est destiné à Rosebud pour acheter des terres pour créer un orphelinat. C'est ce que j'ai compris, c'est ça? Oui. Créer un orphelinat et ils espèrent qu'ils pourront parvenir à rassembler la totalité de la somme qu'il faut dans le courant de cette année. Et la deuxième manière d'aider la Lame Deer Society, c'est de devenir membre. Alors là, il y a un truc que j'ai pas bien suivi. Ils mettent au point une espèce de ranch pour chômeurs où peuvent venir des gens. Qu'est-ce que c'est que cette histoire-là? Je n'ai pas compris.
Les tarifs, ils iront des 60 marques allemands, évidemment, 160 au plus, selon qu'on soit étudiant, sans emploi.
Ah oui, c'est ça. Donc c'est un endroit où on peut aller et vivre un certain temps, c'est ça? Non, c'est l'adhésion.
Oui, l'association.
Ah oui, mais il n'y a pas une histoire de ranch?
Non, c'est pour devenir membre
Ah oui.
de l'association.
Ranch, ça veut dire.
C'est la fourchette.
Ah oui, bah d'accord, alors j'ai appris quelque chose.
C'est la fourchette des cotisations.
Voilà, bah, vous avez tout compris, moi pas, c'est bien.
Les chômeurs et les étudiants, c'est moins cher.
D'accord, oui, ça va.
Et les
Oui, ça va. Bien. Voilà, je répète pas, tout le monde a saisi. Hein. Alors tout ça, c'est pour ne pas dépendre. Bon, Lame Deer trouve extrêmement important de ne pas dépendre de gouvernements qui pourraient éventuellement financer ces projets, mais qui ne le financeraient pas à l'œil, hein, qui chercheront donc à avoir des compensations. Alors donc leur objectif cette année, c'est avoir une forte proportion de membres qui s'inscrivent, et un des projets, c'est qu'un groupe d'artistes et de peintres viennent très prochainement en Europe, ainsi qu'une tournée de concerts avec des musiciens indiens. Donc la Lame Deer Society en Europe a besoin des membres et de leur aide. Et également, à échéance, ça pourra également correspondre au fait qu'il y ait des groupes bien constitués et qui pourront aussi, avec l'aide dans la mesure où les gens ne sont pas seuls dans leur coin, à continuer à progresser et à vivre comme on a commencé à l'apprendre. Et ainsi peut-être arrivera-t-on à faire une espèce de grande communauté européenne avec avec des groupes très existants un peu partout et qui peuvent s'entraider les uns les autres. Et la Lame Deer Society cherche également à aider dans cette direction-là. Alors elle ne fait que commencer en Europe. Et il y a un autre objectif également, une autre idée, c'est il faudrait éviter que des faux medicine men se baladent en Europe en faisant croire qu'ils sont des Lakota, qu'ils ont l'accord des anciens. Et tout cela, et Tobias dit que ça lui paraît très important parce que dans ces 2 années où il a voyagé avec Lame Deer, il a rencontré beaucoup de gens qui ont souffert par la faute de faux medicine men qui ont mal fait le travail, et il a vu beaucoup de tristesse chez Lame Deer à cause de cela. Alors José a traduit en français le topo sur les réunions de mai.
C'est Erika qui l'a traduit de l'allemand en français.
Avec Michel. Je ne suis pas toute seule. Et Tobias dit qu'il est fier de tout cela, car c'est la première fois qu'une telle manifestation et tout cela commencera donc en Europe. Et Tobias voudrait également remercier Lame Deer pour tout cela. Lame Deer a dit, si ça ne marche pas, j'enverrai Tobias en Europe de l'Est, en Allemagne de l'Est, c'est bien ça. Hein. Et ça le punira, bien sûr. Et il a ajouté qu'ils ont eu des rapports avec des hommes de loi amérindiens de l'AIM, et par ce biais, ils ont eu la liste de tous les medicine men et les moyens ou de les contacter ou d'avoir des renseignements sur eux. Et ainsi, il suffit de passer un coup de fil pour savoir si un medicine man qui se balade en Europe et qui prétend enseigner est quelqu'un qui est OK ou pas. Voilà.
Questions? Guy, is there any questions?
Y a-t-il des questions? Bah écoute, tu demandes à Roberta, voilà,
Roberta, pour devenir membre alors éventuellement. Ou faut s'adresser
à
à
Tobias.
Tobias.
Tu lui donnes ton adresse, ça marche. Si tu veux lâcher un Jacqueline,
Oh, okay.
il y a deux boîtes aux lettres d'adresse. Si tu veux. Il y a Tobias et il y a Jacqueline.
Ok.
There is, I think my address is, or the address of the Lende Society, some of you have it. He has him, you have him, you don't have him, she has him, and he has him. So, who is interested to have the address, I can give it to them. And you write to us a letter, which we ask you please to tell a little bit about you, so we know a little bit about our members, and we can sell those datas to the government.
And then the money goes to those projects.
So anyhow, I said we can sell those datas then to the government.
Les données.
Ils
peuvent vendre les données au gouvernement.
We will definitely deal with those information confidential. We're also, and you can be clear about that this kind of an address list will not be accessible to any other organization, because I know how it works. You give your address and suddenly you get your mailbox is full of some stuff you don't want. So we ask you to give a little bit information about you, so we know a little bit, and then we will write you a letter and tell you about the membership, and you get a form, a little form, and you fill the form out, and then you transfer the money, and then you're a member. And in the fee enclosed is that you, for one thing, that the magazine we're going to publish will be delivered and sent to the members for 50% off the normal price of the magazine. You will be exclusive informed about all things happen. Lende Society America, Lende Society Europe. You will be informed about all things or all events happen throughout Europe. And that's what we're planning for this year, which is a lot.
Can you tell us something about the magazine?
The only thing I can tell you is, what was it, 3 days before I talked to Leonard? Yeah. 3 days before I left from America, I talked to Leonard Cartier on the phone. And it's a funny thing. I never really saw Leonard, but there is a very strong friendship between him and me. And the reason for that is definitely that Danger talked to him about me. So Leonard talked to me and he told me, listen to Bios, we're going to have a magazine, The Spirit of Crazy Horse. And the magazine will be very good, and there's a nice word for it in America, it will be very fancy. That means that it's a very good magazine and a very good quality paper and pictures and very good articles. And so
What kind of content?
The contents, let me tell you, I've already seen the the contents, the cover page is a glossy cover, something that you can find at any business desk. You know, it's a very fancy newspaper with the artwork of Tahca on the outside. And on the inside, it has Indian advertisements for Indian businesses and also Indian-owned crafts and things like this. There's advertisement inside, and as far as the information is concerned, the information is coinciding with the Homme Sacré notes in the Iroquois Confederacy, and it's also coinciding with all the other magazines throughout, you know, like Lakota Times, and they're up to Washington State, Oregon State, California, wherever there's, you know, problems with Indians. Fishing rights are also involved in it from Oregon and Washington. The whole, the new paper is, the new magazine is pretty thick. It's probably about 72 pages in all, and it has everything up to date. It will be published quarterly, not quarterly, every 2 months, every 3 months, which is quarterly. It will start off this way and eventually work into every month, you know, and it will be a monthly after that.
Is Leonard, is he the one who's editing it?
Leonard reads practically everything that is in there because, you know, he's right there. And, well, let's put it this way, he's right on top of it anyway because that's what he wants to do. And we're informed with everything that is going on with Indian reservations all across. But we are not inclined to get into the area of getting into heavy politics. We don't endorse
Hard to avoid when you get into fishing rights.
Yes. Well, you know, that's a different thing because this is livelihood, this is survival. We're talking about things like endorsing Russell Means for president. We don't get involved with stuff like that. We do get involved with prison rights, women rights, abortions, things like this. That's all in the magazine. It's a pretty well-informed magazine.
So this magazine will first of all will come every 3 months, and what will happen is that there is a letter right now, a conversation between the committee in Kansas City and the Lame Deer Society, that there will be an exchange of articles, that there will have a few pages in America about Lame Deer Society Europe, so the native people will start getting a picture of what happened in Europe, and the Lame Deer Society in Europe will add a few pages in this magazine for Europe to inform the European people about Lame Deer Society Europe. So I'm personally very excited about this idea, and I think it will really fly and it will come off because there is none in Europe, and definitely none. Very good information possible about what happened on Indian country. As a sample, I was for a few weeks ago in Berlin in the so-called what was it called? Committee for Indian Informations. So that was somebody recommended to me and said they really know what's going on. I got there And this good man there, he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy, but he had an informational level of 1982. He even didn't know that Yellow Thunder can win the case, and he didn't know that one of the Belfort brothers were in prison. And it was just fantastical. And all those Indian politic groups, they don't bring good information. They only bring what's good for them, and most of the time it's change. And it's not true or whatever. I mean, I never heard in my life so many rumors than in Europe about Native American politics. It's fantastic sometimes. I mean, Lane can sing probably a few songs about it. But it doesn't matter. This magazine shall help that the people find out and know more about what's going on Indian country. And it will not get us involved in politics. It just gets us involved in clear and good information. And the members of the Lame Society will be the first people who will know about it and who will get this magazine. So that's our program for this year. As I said before, with the artists and another travel of medicine people in fall. And with that, we have a lot of work, and we appreciate and love anybody who would like to participate and to help in this, to write us and to let us know.
Can I ask you a question? If the Lame Deer Society can help us when we go to the United States?
Yes. Okay, he's asking a good question. The thing about it is, at this time I can't promise anything, but to tell you a little bit more about the idea. The financial needs of what we want to do is very high and very big. So the idea is that Lame Deer Society will found 2 daughter companies who will work complete independent from Lame Deer Society already this year. And those daughter companies will be just there to generate funds besides the membership fees, because only the membership fees won't do it. So one of those ideas is that Lame Deer Society will have its own travel agency for special trips, specialized in American trips to America. We have a man we're looking at, but we don't know really yet, and he doesn't know really yet. So we can't promise anything. What we're doing right now is that I just signed a contract with a travel agency where we're having now a business account. And as it is put down in the Constitution that all members of the Lame Deer Society can be sent by the society on the trip to Europe, to America. That means that when you as a member plan to travel to America, that we can give you the benefits of the business account of the Lame Deer Society by this travel agent. The good thing about it is that this travel agent has a daughter company working in Atlanta. So we are able to have access to the cheap tickets in America. You should know that in America the tickets so around about 30% cheaper than here in Europe. As a sample, I brought Lame Deer over and his son for $1,000, $1,200. Round trip, Los Angeles, Bretagne.
Excuse me, but I will dispute what you just said vis-a-vis flights. Because I work with a travel agency because of the amount of travel I do, and I'll be happy to put you in touch with people. It is cheaper to buy a ticket, round trip from France to the United States, than to do it the other way. I've just done that for my father coming from California.
Okay. How much in advance do you book?
I can book for tomorrow,
And how much you pay?
$700.
Okay.
And it's good for any length of time.
The English ticket is good for a amount of 1 year, and
That's
I paid
the
for
same
him.
thing.
Wait a minute, let me finish. And I paid for his ticket $650 round trip.
But I'm saying that
And Bremen is a minor airport.
yeah, but all I'm saying is that
To Frankfurt, it would
basically,
be to Frankfurt. That ticket was $585.
Germany it's cheaper. But basically, because of the dollar, particularly the dollar exchange at this moment, out of people traveling with France.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can still travel cheaper.
I answered the question. I think the fact that we're getting percentage by this travel agency now, and it's cheaper to order the ticket through that agency than to any other.
But the question is not only about
Wait a minute. Excuse me, but I can't hear his question.
the most important to me was not the money of the tickets. It was the contact with the people in the United States. And I know many people who wants to go travel there and to get in touch with the right person.
No, here.
Let's go back to spiritual.
Je traduis. C'est une planeur. Je sens qu'il y a quelque chose comme ça.
Moi, je traduis. Bon, j'ai besoin d'aide parce que je fatigue, je comprends tellement. Hein. Alors, la question c'est où est-ce qu'on peut joindre la Lame Deer Society. Il dit, bon, certains d'entre nous ici, on l'adresse et tous ceux qui veulent, bien sûr, je peux la donner. On peut souhaiter que vous écriviez en parlant un petit peu de vous et rassurez-vous, on ne vendra pas ces données au gouvernement, à aucun gouvernement, ni à aucune autre organisation parce qu'ils savent bien ce qu'il advient lorsque votre adresse se balade quelque part, elle finit par atterrir dans des tas de boîtes, etc. Si vous faites cela, nous vous renverrons un formulaire que vous remplirez et que vous pourrez renvoyer avec la cotisation. Ensuite, il a été question du magazine. Le magazine sera un des avantages des membres. Il sera distribué à 50% de son prix aux membres. Et là-dedans, il y aura bien sûr toute l'information sur la Lame Deer Society, aussi bien aux USA qu'en Europe. Et bien sûr, on saura tout ce qui se passera par le biais de la Lame Deer Society en Europe. Alors, on a décrit le magazine. Le magazine sera chouette à tous égards, aussi bien sur le plan des articles que sur le plan de la photographie, de la teneur intérieure, de la qualité du papier. Lame Deer a dit, j'ai vu le magazine, il est beau, à l'intérieur il y a des annonces sur les choses indiennes, sur l'artisanat, etc. Il est épais, il a environ 72 pages. Et sur le plan des informations, on y trouve tout ce qui concerne les Indiens, de près ou de loin, et également tout ce qui concerne, par exemple, la pêche, la pollution des endroits de pêche, enfin bon, tout ce qui est important à savoir et qui concerne donc les choses importantes pour les Indiens. Au début, il paraîtra tous les 3 mois et peut-être, si tout va bien, tous les mois ensuite, et on n'y trouvera pas de choses politiques. On y parlera aussi des droits des femmes, des droits des prisonniers, de l'avortement et de toutes ces choses qui sont importantes. Il y aura également des échanges d'articles avec d'autres magazines ou d'autres journaux, tels ou une coordination d'informations avec d'autres journaux. Et une partie de ce magazine sera consacrée, une petite partie, à la Lame Deer Society en Europe et à ce qui s'y passera. Pour l'instant, il n'y a absolument rien en Europe sur le plan informatif qui soit valable sur les Indiens. Un bonhomme que Tobias a rencontré il y a peu de temps à Berlin lui disait qu'il savait tout sur les Indiens et quand Tobias a été creusé, il s'est rendu compte que les informations qu'il avait dataient de 1982. Et de surcroît, l'information qui arrive ici est tout à fait partiale. On vous dit ce qui convient et pas du tout ce qui est la réalité. Il a redit le programme pour cette année, les artistes de concert et les manifestations de mai. Ensuite, José a demandé la question, si nous on a envie d'aller aux USA, est-ce qu'on peut être aidé par la Lame Deer Society et Tobias a répondu, on ne peut pas promettre actuellement. Je sais pas, c'est toi qui parler plus fort. Hein. On ne peut pas promettre actuellement, mais il y a des projets. L'idée est que la Lame Deer Society finira par avoir deux filles, hein, enfin deux organisations filles, dont l'une sera en relation avec des agences de voyage aux USA, ou pour les membres, par exemple, il pourra y avoir des avantages, voyager moins cher. Et ensuite, il y a une discussion entre Roberta qui disait, ouais, c'est moins cher que ceci. Donc, voilà.
Merci.
À vous chercher. Hein.
Tradition.
Alors, tu laisses ta tante. Ah bon, c'est sa tante? On va regarder sa tante. J'ai beaucoup de soucis de savoir quand je attention comment ça va.
I think what we'll do now is create a circle and hold hands and pray and say our goodbyes or whatever. And like I say, it's been an honor for me to be here. And for the people that organized this place to make it happen, I really appreciate it. It's a long time coming. We almost came 2 years ago. It didn't happen. And the people that live here was telling me the same thing. We knew one day you'll get here. And I'm glad that it happened this year. And it's always good to thank the people that are living here, and we can, if anything, that we can support them, and in this way is support. And in the future, other medicine people, younger, older, herb women that can come, we can arrange it and work with a group like this. We keep the addresses of the places like this, so we know where to send people, and you can call us, and we can do that to work with spiritual people, so the sweat lodge that is standing there doesn't stay abandoned. It will be used all the time. And like I say, it's a good feeling to be part of it. You know, it's been 12 years in the working to start to do what we're doing, and it's very much hardships over the years, and especially the last 6 years of all the negative forces that come at you, Indians and non-Indians alike, because you can always find among your own people that oppose you, or people that are going off in directions, people who work for the U.S. government and things like this that are very petty. We've got to think beyond pettiness. Think beyond pettiness to more spiritual things. And in this way, we tend to venture out further. And when we get beyond the pettiness, and we can laugh it off. You know, because no matter what is said about anyone, I don't believe it until I hear it from that person. You know, and I don't believe in second-hand, third-hand, fourth-hand informations at all. And when somebody comes to me and starts telling me about somebody, I just close him off. I don't want to hear about it. Tell it to somebody else, not me. Because I'm not going to spread your rumor and your lie. And that's the way I feel about it. And in time, we'll work with each other all across the country. I know there'll be a couple of people here getting married and babies being named, and that goes on all the time. So some people ask me about giving names. We do have a Winkte in South Dakota now. You know, a Winkte is a transvestite, a man who wears women's clothes. He's not a homosexual. But if you're a grown-up and you want an Indian name, we'll bring him over. We'll bring him over, he'll give you a name, but you will never mention that name in public again. Because those names don't sound too good. He has one of those names. Says everything. No, it's a very bad name. He's very quiet about it. So, it's just, I want to throw that out and create this circle and get to praying, so some of you have to get on the road and get where you're going, or some of you don't take vacations for Easter. Only us Christians do that, so take Easter off.